Hi, I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics and Fantastic Four Grand Design.
I'm Matt Zeoli.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Tom Scioli or on Instagram at Tom_Scioli.
Follow me on Instagram at cinema_2.
And check out my Patreon. Go to patreon.com, search Tom Scioli, and you can find a bunch of comics I've been working on for the past couple of years.
Follow the show on Instagram at total_recall_show.
So today we're talking about a lost classic, an old movie I hadn't heard about until very recently, and sort of a lost treasure. Perfect.
I've never seen it before.
Have you ever heard of it or anything?
I've heard of it because
is it like it's like one of those Razzie movies, right?
It was a Razzie movie, but like I'll usually like just see like clips. It's usually the like pictures. It's like John Travolta and Jamie Lee Curtis, and they're like from Perfect. I'm like, then I forget about it immediately. Like,
yeah, it was like me and my wife, we kind of like take turns picking a movie and alternate, and that was like one of her picks. And like,
had she seen it before?
She'd never seen it, but I guess she heard about it somewhere, and then she like showed me the trailer, and I was like, oh yeah, we gotta see this. We gotta watch this. This looks good. Have you seen the trailer, or did you just?
I just went straight in the flick.
The trailer's hilarious. You got to see the trailer. When I saw that trailer, I thought like, how did this not become like the #1 movie of that year? Because the trailer, it's like Jamie Lee Curtis. It's Jamie Lee Curtis and John Travolta, like in their prime.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
They're like which is kind of nice to see. Like, it's nice to see a new movie, because it's like a movie I'd never seen before. And it's like everybody who was famous when we were kids, they're all dying. They're all dropping like flies.
We just saw Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah. So it's kind of fun to see like a new movie with like some stars you grew up with, like in their prime. And it was just so cool to see that. And so like Jamie Lee and it kind of takes you back to that time when it was like Jamie Lee Curtis, John Travolta. Where now it's kind of like, oh yeah, John Travolta's the guy who said Adele Dazeem, and Jamie Lee Curtis is the yogurt, the diarrhea yogurt, is the diarrhea yogurt endorser. So it was kind of cool to see that. It's like, oh yeah, this is what it meant when you'd say Jamie Lee Curtis and John Travolta.
Yeah, because like it's pre John Travolta's kind of like, he had the
Fall
blockbuster
from Grace or whatever.
Yeah, like his he had the big hits with Look Who's Talking. This is kind of like pre after Blowout, pre that.
So like when he did this movie, had his star fallen pretty far, or was it not, like this was part of the downward?
I think it was part of the trajectory.
Part of the downward trajectory. So like there was still some hope.
Yeah.
But then this bombed. It was a shocker that it bombed, because the trailer, it's like Jamie Lee Curtis leading an aerobics class. And she's like wearing like a skimpy aerobics outfit, and then John Travolta is wearing those like the 70s shorts that we talk about, where like a nut drops out, and like
there's always a nut drop.
She's up on the stage, like instructing the class, and she's just doing these like pelvic thrusts.
Oh, I know.
to like music bomb. She's doing these pelvic thrusts, and then he's doing pelvic thrusts back to
the pelvic thrusts are like third build in here. There's in the end, it's hilarious in the end credits, because when they're showing everyone, it's like just like in Predator, it's like Dutch or whatever, but it showed this one guy, and it's like for 5 minutes he's like fucking sideways.
So I thought, like, how did this movie? But I guess it's like, it was like asking for too much. Like, I don't know, or word got out.
Columbia, I don't know what the deal was with its bombing, because like it's a big studio flick, and it has like good actors, and it looks like a million. Like, it's shot on location, a lot of extras. Like, it's shot really well.
Yeah, they were going for it. I guess like just kind of like, people didn't want to see John Travolta anymore or something. Like, it was kind of. I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis was like, her career kept going, like his,
Yeah, like
and the setting is cool too, because it's like it's at Rolling Stone, and I was watching it, and it's like, oh, I guess you could just say your movie takes place at Rolling Stone and it's no big deal, and then it's like, there's this one like real like goofball looking guy with like a mullet.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this who's like, they got to come up with these like fake this fake staff working at Rolling Stone. And then in the end credits when they're showing everybody, it's like, it's Jan Wenner. It's like I didn't realize that, like he looks like the son of the owner of the video rental store around the corner. He's got like the hockey hair. He's got like the perfect like hockey moment. But they use like the Rolling Stone logo for the word perfect.
I'm too young to like. Was because like in this movie, Rolling Stone's treated just like the New York Times.
Right. It's like hard hit. It's like we're breaking major story. It's like the the Pentagon Papers or like Woodward and Bernstein. It would be like like they could break the Watergate thing. Yeah, like they're breaking big news. I don't know. I mean,
because like when I
obviously like Rolling Stone is involved in this production.
Oh yeah.
So they want to be like Jan Wenner wants them to be portrayed in a certain way, and I think it is a little bit of that. I mean, Rolling Stone does do like real news and stuff, but I think like it was some image building.
They're like, wow, that was like when it was cool, or like, and the
based on articles in Rolling Stone, so it's got
it's full.
And so it's like the 80s like fitness craze. And like the 80s workout, like that.
That is interesting. What you're bringing up too, like it's like at the dawn of like, whoa, people are working out.
Yeah, wait, people are exercising.
Exercising.
They're exercising.
That's wild. Like holy shit.
Why aren't they smoking pot? Or, this was like the yuppies, or this is where the yuppies are starting to do things the yuppie way. I think like Saturday Night Fever started as like an article somewhere. It was like an article somewhere, maybe even in Rolling Stone. It was an article. So I think maybe like that's the thinking here. It's like, okay, John Travolta in an article, and it's like, okay, in the 70s, people were we're hooking up at disco places. Now it's the 80s, they're hooking up. So let's get an article about people hooking up at the workout place.
He's like, there's people fucking on a treadmill at Planet Fitness or whatever.
It is funny seeing, because like I remember this era when they'd have like the Bally Total Fitness commercials, remember, and stuff,
or Gold's Gym now. It's like you're wearing a Total Recall show spaghetti strap tank top. It's like real thin down. And you're like,
it was fun like exploring
to get the pop.
Exploring that like 80s fitness club nostalgia, and kind of remember, and it's like, and then this is at a time when those clubs are like just being built, so they're like new and fresh, where now like if you ever like I had a membership when I was in high school. I had a membership to one of these, to like Bally Total Fitness, and by that point it had been a few years, so those places like they're not all shiny and new, like they were a little bit like that. The equipment's out of date, it's not quite working, it's the place isn't looking so good. Like
in the 80s, I would see like racquetball was always prominently featured.
Yeah. In any you watch like Big or any kind of movie where like there's some high powered thing going on. They're playing racquetball or they're playing handball.
Perfect time to have like a conversation while you're playing.
Yeah. And work out some of your hostilities that the characters are maybe having during that. The movie I was watching Frankie and Johnny recently, and handball was like Al Pacino was real big on handball.
Oh, nice
handball.
He's like,
going home to playing some handball.
I'm tired,
Brian. I'm tired. So like because it's a Rolling Stone production, you do get some cameos from like musicians. Carly Simon shows up for like one scene. To throw a drink in John Travolta's face, and then they couldn't get Mick Jagger to show up, but they were able to get the rights to show some slides of Mick Jagger.
Also, his editor has a big framed picture of Bob Dylan in his office behind his desk.
Yeah, and like when I saw these pictures of Mick Jagger, it's like, oh, maybe like they weren't able to get Mick Jagger, but they were able to get a Mick Jagger lookalike, and they could film some like stills, some slides of him, because it didn't make any sense to me. Like, why even put Mick Jagger in it if he's not gonna like show up? But
they're like, we had to jump through so many hoops to secure the rights to these photos.
And then they have like a protest or something, like some kind of like We Are the World or like Hands Across America kind of thing later on, and like it's like all these stuff, and then Boy George is there.
Oh yeah, like this
there's Jan Wenner,
and he's kind of got the Tony Danza sprout going on.
Yeah, he's got the Tony Danza hair.
It's like sprouting.
But that's Jan Wenner. Like I don't know that I've ever seen him before. Like I know of him as like the guy behind Rolling Stone, but I guess I never saw it. And I imagine he doesn't look like that now. Like he doesn't look like he plays for the Flyers. He doesn't look like he plays for the Flyers.
Yeah, there he is.
Yep. And it's funny because like he's like a real guy, and he's like the owner of Rolling Stone, and so anytime like an editor or somebody does something scummy in this movie, it's not him.
Yeah.
It's like oh, I wasn't in the office when that happened.
At the very end, when they do the end credits, he's like also taking a class, and he's like doing this like everyone's fucking the air in this movie. There's so much like air.
Like that
air
was the whole trailer was just Jamie Lee Curtis and John Travolta just fucking air at each other. Everybody's like super sweaty, and like her, like if you ever watch like an old Jane Fonda workout thing or whatever, or you watch this, like the exercises they're doing are so unhealthy. It's all like break your spine, your neck. They're just like throwing their bodies in, like twisting and super hard, super fast in a way that like you would by like 1990 they'd figured out like no,
like
if you
we've
do this,
reassessed this whole thing.
Yeah, you need to like move your body in a certain range and not just like throw every she's the Pied Piper of the workout set. And then the references, it's like, oh, they're the Laverne and Shirley of this exercise place. Like the references feel like a little bit off. Like I don't know if it was maybe like it was like one of those movies that like maybe came out a year or too late. Yeah. And like Mary Lou Henner, like I've been watching a lot of Mary Lou Henner movies because I was watching Johnny Dangerously.
Oh, yeah.
So it's interesting seeing her as like a film actress, because I don't think her film career lasted very long either. Like not much beyond, but she kind of had her moment.
Nice computer work in this too.
Here's the big, like I don't know if this movie's good or if it's shit or what. I just know that I loved it, and a big part was the nostalgia of just seeing like head to toe 80s, seeing like the 80s in every pixel of this, and like and just seeing like young John Travolta, young Jamie Lee Curtis, and then their clothes, the phones, and then the workout places, just seeing like, oh yeah, that's the 80s, that's an 80s workout place. But then the computers too. He has like an early word processor, and it's one of those word processors where like we think of word processor, we think of like Microsoft Word or something, but it's like no, a word processor where it is a specific machine. You got your food processor and you got your word processor, and it's a specific machine with like its own tiny screen. It's not like a monitor. It's not like a full TV screen or whatever. It's this like little monitor.
It's amazing.
That's dedicated. That he types stuff on, and it was like super high tech.
It looks great still.
Yeah, it like you get this sort of like fetish for the technology where you're like, oh, I'd love to see what, like maybe it's got like a Minesweeper game or something. Like that was always the thing. There'd be one of those like computers back then, and it could play like one game.
Oh, that's exciting. Like this had to, if you saw this in '85, imagine like that had to like drop some jaws in the theater.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
It is like the killer app on here, and they do use it like it becomes like it's like okay, it should get separate billing. This computer, whatever it is, and like because like the big part is wanna fuck. Like he types wanna fuck. He's on a date. Jamie Lee Curtis is at his apartment, and he types wanna fuck on the computer screen. And it's like yeah. It's like that's like they knew they're like they came up with that scene, and then they came up with the rest of the movie because and it's like oh, John Travolta in this movie might be the first person to ever like say wanna fuck via
like,
computer,
yeah.
And now we're all these years later.
He's like wanna fuck, and then that robot gets like happy birthday Johnny comes out or whatever. Or he's like Stogie Bot comes out.
But
happy birthday Johnny.
And then probably not too long after this movie came out, people probably couldn't wait to like boot up their like Commodore 64 or whatever and be like, what a fuck.
you had boobs on your calculator.
Yeah, right. There was like a moment where that could be in dating or whatever. Everybody's looking for like what what's the new angle or whatever, and so it was like, oh, you type wanna fuck on your computer. that would be in like the like dating advice paperbacks that would be out in the 80s or whatever. One would be like, buy a computer, type wanna fuck on. Now
it says yes, and then he starts humping the word processor.
As the technology improved, it was like first, like stage one, you have to actually get somebody into your apartment and then type wanna fuck. A little later on, they invent modems, and you can like send that, and then here we are, 2023.
They're like, I feel sorry for the person has to wipe this equipment down. There's like jizz is rusting these barbells. Eating away at the upholstery.
It was kind of cool seeing like seeing like Mary Lou Henner, Lorraine Newman, like these sort of classic
80s.
Almost like people I'd associate with the 70s, but they somehow made it into the 80s and via this film. And
this is going on in the gym. You're trying to. I have like I'm right next to them with like I have like just the bar and 2 little dumbbells. I'm like, look over.
Some of the looks in here are like, curly mullets, huge mustaches.
Yeah. Like I have a 3-pound weight. Just lift it.
Well,
I'm wearing
remember,
jeans.
Like it is funny how like, he writes his article about his expose, and it's and like he wants to here's Jamie Lee Curtis, like her exercise, like what she's doing with her neck there.
Yeah,
like,
they're like, I have a L2 vertebrae like dislodged.
Yeah, because there's a whole room of people tightly packed who are all doing that. Like that do not do any of these moves. Do not do any of them.
It's like you just can't believe they committed it to sell you.
Whenever we have Jamie Lee Curtis and or John Travolta on the show, I would want to ask about this movie because it's kind of a shit because this movie bombed, and so whatever your experience is on a movie, like it can't help but be shaped by whether it's a success or not. And so this bombed. So I mean, I wish they had like. I hope that they have good feelings about this movie because it looks like so much fun to film.
Yeah.
And it really is a treasure. Like I'm so glad it exists, and I hope they feel good about it. And maybe it's you always hear these interviews with with actors and stuff where like you'll never believe the movie people bring up all the time. Like I'm on the street and people so this seems like one of those movies where it'll be like Jamie Lee, I love you, perfect.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, it's like they're like, wow, they know my filmography.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we bring up Tarantino a lot on the show, and in a Pulp Fiction interview, he might have been trying to butter Rolling. It was for Rolling Stone, but he's like, he said perfect is under. He loves.
Oh, really? Okay, that's interesting. That because it would almost seem like that would be a reason for us to review this as like because sometimes it's like we get like
Inspired.
A recommendation from Tarantino, but it's funny because it came from like the opposite direction. It came from my wife's recommendation, who like she can't stand Tarantino, so
So she picked and she selected this for your viewing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tarantino gives big props to
it's
this movie,
especially if you're a John Travolta fan. It's
which
like
he is.
Yeah, you get like how many prime John Travolta movies are there? Not very many, and so it's like this one's good. Like I think it's like again I can't extricate myself from the nostalgia that's in effect here, but I enjoyed it. I think it works.
Too.
And so then the computer gets another role where Jamie Lee Curtis finds his article and it's like it's trashing the place and trashing everybody, and so then she sees it and she just keeps hitting the delete key like she scrolls all the way down to the end of the document and then starts deleting up, and it's like ooh yeah, like this one, and and it's like I don't know exactly how that word processor works. I mean, I hope he has like a backup save, but probably it can probably only store as much as you've typed in one session before you turn it off, and so you got to like print it up.
I earlier in the movie, like when he was in that hotel with I was pausing it to get a good look at the word processor.
Yeah, find out what model.
Yeah,
I want the word processor from Perfect, please.
If anybody has that inside track on it, send it our way, please.
There is like that software called WordPerfect. I wonder if they like were inspired by this movie and we're like, oh, because Perfect like helped popularize the word processor.
That is,
I mean, for the recallies and stuff, like best use of a computer in a movie
is 100% going to be the word processor from Perfect.
Yeah, because it is like it's this close to being
top build.
It's this close to being like number 5 from Short Circuit, or from being the computer from Electric Dreams.
Wow,
Moles.
I don't know Electric Dreams.
Well, like in the early days of computers, it's like there weren't very many computer movies. So like we talked about, like you'd watch Whiz Kids on TV or whatever, but like there was a movie called Electric Dreams that I rented a bunch of times.
Wow, gotta watch it.
A guy gets a computer. And his first computer, because so many people at that time were getting their first home computer. He gets a computer. He's not sure what he's doing with it. He's supposed to input his name. His name is Miles. He accidentally types moles, and so a typo. And so like for the whole rest of the movie, the computer calls him Moles. Hello, Moles. And then he like accidentally spills his Dr. Pepper on the computer, and then maybe lightning strikes too or whatever, but the computer becomes sentient.
Nice.
And so it goes from there.
What was that in Knight Rider, the name of that motorcycle, or what was it?
Knerd. But yeah, Knerd. Moles Moles has his computer, and it becomes almost like a Cyrano story. The lady and this computer is like learning about the universe. Again, 80s an 80s trope. He's learning about the world from like watching TV, and then also from the next apartment over is like a cellist, and so she's playing the cello, and then the computer starts playing like a synthesizer version of the cello back. They start doing a duet, and so she kind of falls in love with this who she thinks is the guy who lives in the next apartment, but she's fallen in love with the computer. And then the computer, and then the guy and her start dating and stuff, and then the computer gets jealous.
Wow.
It's pretty cool. The VHS box art is like a little computer with like horns on his head and stuff. But it's like a romantic comedy.
What's it called again?
Electric Dreams. Electric Dreams, and and they become romantic rivals. The computer and this guy.
That's on the list. We have to do our hacking episode.
Yeah, we got. I feel like we could, keep this channel going like really nicely with just like 80s computer, kind of war games. Whoa. A big one. Cloak and Dagger.
Yes.
These sort of Cold War computer movies.
Sneakers, yeah. We do
The Net. We gotta do The Net.
Mozart's Ghost. I keep popping up in there.
I never finished The Net. Me and my dad went to the movies to see The Net, and then she orders a pizza.
That's
on the
holy
computer.
Shit! That's my big takeaway.
I was like, I gotta get out. I'm like, Dad, I can't. Like, let's go see something else because this movie's so corny. No, why would anybody use their computer to order pizza? You just pick up the phone and call. Why would you use your that's so stupid. Nobody's ever gonna do. And then meanwhile, here we are later. I got the dinner. I got from I got Denny's takeout, and it was just tonight. And it was
use the computer.
Use a phone. Imagine telling that to yourself.
Holy shit!
Back in the 90s.
There was we got to review some tech commercials. Do you remember the one where the person was like, it was like AT&T? They're talking like on a video phone. Do you remember that commercial? Mm-hmm. I blew that. I think about that a lot.
You know what? Is the mind blowing thing is like I'm watching The Net, and she orders a pizza on her computer, and I was kind of like, oh, that's so stupid. You just pick up a phone. And that's exactly what you do now. You pick up your phone, but your computer, is on your phone. Yeah.
Mozart's Ghost. I can't remember what the hell that had to do with the movie, but I my big takeaway was the Dennis Miller's in The Net. I think he has like,
again, I've never seen it all the way through. I went to the theater and was like, this is not for me. And then we went to the next movie over, at the theater, whatever was playing in the next.
It came to fruition.
Yeah.
So Mozart's Ghost.
So now we can finally check it out. But yeah, yeah, we got to do all the old computer movies and kind of rate them as far as like how predictive they were, how off they were,
this is
how
exciting.
predictive. Yeah.
Holy shit!
This era of Jamie Lee Curtis,
just awesome.
And John Travolta. I mean, I think they're a great screen couple too.
High wattage, 2 Oscar nominees, like great actors, like.
And you do
chemistry.
like watching this movie. You want them to end up together. Like I think.
Yeah.
There's another John Travolta one I want to check out. That I loved this movie so much when I was a kid, but I haven't seen it in decades. Is Two of a Kind. It was him and Olivia Newton-John like paired up again after
I don't think I saw that.
Grease. So good. And like, I mean, I don't know if it's good. Like, we'll have to check it out.
We're gonna watch it.
But it's him and Olivia Newton-John, and he plays an inventor, and in order to like finance his inventions, he has to like borrow money from the mob, and his inventions are always crazy. None of them ever pay off, and now the mob is coming to get him.
This is awesome.
And one of his inventions is edible sunglasses. He invents edible sunglasses. And then he's like, here, try it. He gives it to Olivia Newton-John. She's like, oh, that's disgusting. It tastes like shit. And so we would like keep rewinding that. We would like crack up and keep rewinding that part where it's like, it tastes like shit. Oh, that's disgusting. It tastes like shit.
And cover your whole body.
Now that in itself would have been like enough for a movie plot, you know. But another part of it is that there's like angels and devils, and the angels are like it's like the story of Job or whatever, you know, or the story of Trading Places or whatever. These angels and this devil are like making a bet about, you know, human nature, and then they choose John Travolta as like, if John Travolta does this, then the earth is saved. If he does this, then the earth is destroyed or whatever. So it's like this extra layer.
Two of a kind.
We'll have to check that out, see if it's any good. See if it holds up.
Great shots too, like,
because it was another bomb. Like Travolta, it's like he could not win. You know, one movie after another, they keep bombing.
He
was such a star that it took a number of bombs before to like take him out.
Down
yeah, like Sonny Corleone, you know, getting shot. You know. He took a bunch of, because like he just such a huge star, and people liked him, wanted to see him in things.
They were rooting for him. We had Tarantino pulled him out.
Yeah, that's what it took. It took Tarantino. But I know a guy who like would get so mad when someone would say that like Pulp Fiction was John Travolta's comeback, because he'd be like, no, it was the Look Who's Talking series. John Travolta disappeared. You never saw him in anything. Then he started doing the Look Who's Talking series. They were hit movies. They were so, you know, how can you say, like, Pulp Fiction came, but it's like, you're not getting it. It's like, yes, he was in some successful movies. Look Who's Talking, what were hit movies.
Those were hits.
But The Baby was the star.
Yeah,
not John Travolta was like second fiddle to The Baby, you know.
The Pulp Fiction was his true comeback.
Right, yeah, it was, because it was like, okay, yeah, he's having hits with these like kids movies, but now he's having a hit with this like ultra hip, cool, sophisticated movie, and now he's A-list. He was just kind of like, oh, John Travolta is like
good actor,
back in the game with the Look Who's Talking, but it was like, okay, now he's back to being a full-blown A-list Hollywood star.
Getting an Academy Award nomination.
Yeah. Yeah, this guy. Yeah, he looks like he looks like an extra Gibb brother.
That's what I was looking. I was waiting for the end credits to see if like
which
I thought
Gibb
he was
is he?
somebody.
Yeah, he's Zeppo Gibb, the Gibb brother that nobody ever talks about. Well, it is kind of like, you know, who's your style icon, and I could see like, okay, what year is this? Like 1984, 1985?
85.
It's 85. So it's like, you know, the Bee Gees hit their height in like maybe 79. So that's not like, think about something, maybe like if you saw something 5 years ago that really made a mark on you and made you completely change your look. Like, do you think that like 5 years later you realize like, oh wait, this looks out of date, I gotta change it? No, so like that guy didn't. He saw the Bee Gees in 1979, and now it's 1985, 6 years later, and he's like
still rocking.
He doesn't know that like the world's moved on.
It's the perfect word processor.
Yeah, it's like in this movie, it's like, oh, it's not working. And so in the edit, they decide to change it to like a living computer, like him and like that the computer's in love with Jamie Lee Curtis. They like just creative editing and like a couple extra screenshots, and like they've completely changed them. So when they go to the premiere, like wait. John Travolta's like, I don't remember anything in the script about the computer coming to life and hitting on Jamie Lee Curtis.
They're like, oh my God, it's here. And all the paparazzi and the fans run from them. And the limo, it's the word processor.
Stepping out of the limo.
They're like, two guys in tuxedos are carrying it on like a tray.
Yeah, it becomes that like the word processor like typed the article and John Travolta's taking all the credit.
There it is.
Yeah, like when you hear about Marsha Lucas like creating the Death Star run, scene just with editing. It's really great. There's like a scene where like the article finally comes out and like everybody hates him, so he can't like show his face anywhere. And then he like and like everybody in the workout club is like angry at him, like, staring daggers at him, and he goes to like a party or like. I love 80s movies. You got to have like the out of control party where it's like just.
I didn't type that.
Yeah, the computer's. Yeah, you can re-edit this as like a Videodrome kind of like.
He starts fucking the monitor. He's like, wait, the computer. What the fuck?
It's like it becomes like a Rise of the Machines kind of thing. So first, they start fucking the exercise equipment, and the exercise equipment becomes sentient. And then they start fucking the computers. It becomes like more, and then like a Skynet situation happens.
Hey, who fucked the lap pull down machine again? Fucking the.
When I started my like gym membership when I was in high school at Bally's, they'd have their rules and stuff, and you had to bring a towel to wipe off the equipment before and after. I didn't realize, like I thought it was to wipe off sweat, but after this movie, it's like, oh, you're wiping something else off of it.
Biohazard off. Like
Alka-Seltzer to the rescue.
Yeah, it's like all I wanted to do was do this like pec deck thing, and I got this rash broke out all over my back.
Suzanne Summers.
The Thigh Master.
Thigh Master.
Dude, I'm like, someone's jizzing all over these barbells again.
There was a funny there was a funny episode of Designing Women, and it was when Jan Hooks joined the cast of Designing Women. Do you remember, when she did? And like she was talking about like she had the Suzanne Summers ab flex, and she was telling the other ladies about it. She was demonstrating it and doing it and stuff. And then she said like she started doing it at the laundromat, and they asked her to never come back again. when I had a health club membership, they had like I love the rowing machine because it had like a video game component. It would have this little screen, and it would have this like super low res thing, almost like a flight simulator, but it was like a rowing simulator where it's like you see yourself going down the river, and like the harder you pull that thing, the faster your boat goes down.
You hack it, you mod it, and you're like just playing. You have an NES controller.
Shooting stuff, blowing things up. There's Jan Wenner. He's a good presence in this.
Great flick. This movie's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's great. The hair, the clothes, everything, and it's got a story. You want these kids to end up together and stuff.
Dylan, there he is.
There's Dylan. I'm friends with Bob Dylan. That's Jan Wenner throwing in. I'm friends with Bob Dylan.
That Bloody Mary he was making looked pretty good. He had some Absolute and some fucking tomato juice.
Hey, the Alka-Seltzer looked good.
I
could go for a belt of that.
That Alka-Seltzer did look really good. He's like, me and the computer were eloping or whatever.
He's got his dick stuck in the copier again. The fax machine put a crook in my dick. I creased my package in the Xerox machine. My package. My nuts got tangled in the rotary phone.
My nuts got stuck in EDIAC.
Yeah, my
nuts got punched the punch card.
My dick got laminated. Got stuck in the laminator. So we saw Perfect. 2 thumbs up. 2 thumbs up from the Total Recall show. I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life, The King of Comics, and Fantastic Four Grand Design.
I'm Matt Zeoli.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Tom Scioli or on Instagram at Tom_Scioli.
Follow me on Instagram at cinema_tomb.
And check out my Patreon. Go to patreon.com. You can check out a bunch of comics I've been working on for the past couple years. And like, follow, and subscribe to the Total Recall Show YouTube channel.
Be careful out there when you're working with electronic equipment. I got my nuts stuck in the EDX.
Mash those buttons. Somebody fucked YouTube. YouTube ain't working. Somebody fucked the YouTube.
My nuts dick got bent in the YouTube.
The YouTube put a crook in my dick. I want my money back.